You're good? All right, so we'll just get started here. Well, thank you everyone who's joined us so far. Again, you can keep submitting new questions to that as we go through this. I'll be going towards basically until we run out of time, and the goal is to make it probably take-ish an hour. I mean, if I don't have much to do, I might just keep out going. Doesn't really matter to me, but we'll see how it goes. So please bear with us as we go through this for the first time. I kind of just came up
I,
with this idea today.
I cannot delete that question. Okay, cool.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. All right, first question from Waves. So once the finals conclude, how long is the hiatus going to be before the ninth season? And if you don't have a definitive answer, please give an estimation. Are there going to be any tournaments in between seasons like GOATs? So to give an idea of what the timeline, well, I guess first to give you an idea what the timeline for the rest of the season is, if you didn't read the announcements channel earlier, this tournament is aiming to finish up by mid-March. So we have the finals. So we do, for those who don't know, our finals take place over 2 weeks because there's quite a lot of tiers that have to do their finals and we want to stream every single one of them. So the Xbox finals happen during a week, and then the PS4's finals happen the week after that. So those conclude basically mid-March. Then we are going to take a little bit of a break. Now we haven't put a whole lot of thought yet into what the exact period is going to be. But we do know. I think we want to do maybe a little bit more time than we did last time. I think when we did the off-season tournament last time, we had very, very little downtime in between doing it, and it was kind of a lot of work, both for me, our staff, and I know some teams and players didn't want to play in the off-season tournament because it was kind of a lot going on at once. They needed a little bit of break. So I was probably thinking at least a few weeks of break. I mean, again, this is kind of estimation off the top of my head. We haven't put a lot of thought into it yet. And as for if there's gonna be an off-season tournament, I think so. We like to do these off-season tournaments for kind of primarily 2 reasons. One, because it helps to add a little bit of variety into the things we do. It's not just it allows us to do things that aren't just, these huge long seasons that take months and months of time in more of like a little shorter format. And it also allows us to experiment with some changes that we oftentimes apply to our regular season. So, for example, the primary thing we were testing in the last off-season tournament, which is the GOATS tournament we did back in the summer, was we tested using more than just one season's worth of SR information. So, if you don't know the history of how CGL's done SR in the past, we've historically picked like one season and we're like, this season's the season we're going to be using for like the SR for the upcoming tournament. And in GOATS, we tested using the last 3 seasons. Our thought process being, because people can vary up and down between seasons, um, that you could use multiple seasons worth of information to get a better, more accurate understanding of how good this player is. And it also, to a degree, somewhat counter sandbagging a little bit, in case they like sandbag for like 1 season, for example. And we thought it worked pretty well in the GOATS tournament, so we applied that moving forward to this current season that's running now. And as for whether it's going to be GOATS or what exactly it will be, don't quite know yet. I know there's been a lot of people said they really liked the GOATS tournament, and they would want to do some more again. If we did do a GOATS tournament, we would make it so that it uses that like reverted GOATS code, basically, the workshop one that kind of like makes GOATS somewhat what it used to be. If we did that, but I don't currently have we haven't really talked about it. But we want to do a little bit more of a break time between last time. But not nearly as long as it used to be in the past. So I hope that answered the question you're looking for. It was kind of a long-winded answer, but I hope that answered what you're looking for. Next question from Spicy Condiments Thou 831. Sorry if that's pronounced incorrectly. Why is the playoff so short? Top 4 only for most tiers. There's not really a point to playing last 2 weeks for teams with 7 to 9 for teams. I think that means tiers with 7 to 9 teams. I guess it depends what you mean by short. Because usually, like, I guess I guess to a degree you consider it a little bit short. I mean, it's we try to make our playoffs and finals complete within a month for a few reasons. Um, one, because we don't want the tournament going on too long. Two, because once it gets to the end of the season, um, some teams already know they're eliminated, and they start rebuilding for next season and whatnot. And we don't really want to make people wait too long of a period where like they don't get to play. So we like to wrap the playoffs up relatively short, but also like while keeping the hype of like everything still going on while people still have the motivation to play. And as you see going through all the seasons, I mean, a lot of times teams don't really last super long, and it's hard to keep teams together for an extended period of time, especially in general and especially in console. And wrapping things up more quickly kind of helps with that. And it also gives a better chance that the quality games will be higher because the playoffs won't be like shifting. Most likely won't as often be shifting metas throughout the playoffs. It's still possible. It still happens, but it's less likely. Um, and then it also allows us to keep the same schedule of like one game per week that people are accustomed to. I think this one's more for you, Ninja, since this is kind of your team. How do you determine if someone is sandbagging other than a direct confession? That's asked by Cryomines.
All right, unmuted. All right. Uh, it's really hard to, without a direct confession, it is a little bit more difficult depending on how much we can actually see. But we can and will go look at previous seasons if there's just like, say, this person was a Masters player, and then now all of a sudden they're in Tier 1 within one season. Obviously, that is sandbagging, and we can take action from that section. Um, if there's anything that you want to know a little bit more on that, please ask. I am looking at the town hall chat,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what we go off of.
Long story short, it's complicated and hard.
Yeah, let's go! I like the
Okay.
enthusiasm. Thank you.
All right. So next question asked by Chills. What is the best way to become involved as a caster in CGL, and what are the required materials/technology? Well, this is kind of more of a question for our stream team in general. I believe actually NSB is here, and he can probably talk about that.
Yeah, we have both leads, I think, here.
Yeah, that's really convenient.
Well, you can DM any of the stream leads, and we will give you a form. You can fill out that form, and then we'll go through that once every few weeks. And we recruit a lot of new streamers, especially since playoffs are rolling around. We're looking for more, so just DM one of the stream leads, and we can get you that form to fill out.
And what are the required materials/technology?
Really, you don't need too much as long as you have like a laptop or a PC that you can get a clean feed from, or you can just use your Xbox/PS4. That would be for live games though, and it's off replay codes, of course, this season, so it's more based off of like screen sharing through Discord on a laptop or a PC. But you don't really need too much to just be a caster.
Thank you both for answering that question.
If
So
I
next
add on
question.
just a little bit real quick,
Yeah.
I would say basic, you need a good mic. You don't necessarily need a camera. I mean, Carrot did a match tonight and didn't need a camera. But very basic, you need a good mic. And then the step up from that would be a decent webcam and a light. So that
Yeah.
would be
No
as far as
Moxie mics.
requirements. Correct.
Thank you, Bull Skunk. The next question here Spike is from Callum. What was the decision slash making slash thought process behind the playoff brackets, and how will they be lined out for multiple editions, such as Tier 3 NA? Yeah, so the goal for this one is our general philosophy for how this goes is like we want to complete it within that 4-week period between when playoffs start and when the finals happen. And the way it's going to work for multiple editions, and using the example here of Tier 3 NA, for those of you who don't know, Tier 3 NA has 4 divisions, and each tier has like each division has like 10 to 11 teams. So quite a good bit of teams, and it's currently set up so that the top 4 from each division make it. Now, how the brackets will work, most likely we'll have more information about this later this week. I'm going to post it out just like to clarify for everyone. But basically, it's most likely going to be something like, now, what about the safety isn't exactly how it's happening, but it's the same format as how it's going to apply. Something like, say, the number 1 from like Division 1 plays like number 4 from Division 2, for example, and like so on and so forth. So we're getting like those cross-divisional games, and then it will most likely just continue out from there bracket-wise. Makes it nice and easy to understand, but also getting the cross-divisional games that people want. So you're not just repeating the same stuff that's in your division already. I hope that answers the question you're looking for. Next question from Chicago. The tier list locks in people's SR for prior seasons. What if they peak after the seasons? Basically 4.4K players in the season in T4 still. How will smurfing be reduced more? So if they, I mean, the way like kind of like we mentioned, how it works currently is we lock in people's SRs that they are for the start of the season throughout the entirety of it for a few reasons. One, because forming a team and keeping people together is already really difficult, and if your team's SR is changing constantly throughout the season, and like you're forced to kick somebody off your team just because they climbed in the middle of the season, that just it causes a few problems. One, it encourages people not to play the game, and then people that are actually have improved and would have climbed don't actually climb, which makes that same problem of people being better in a lower tier last even longer. Because even if they climb, that means for the next season they'll be in that higher tier. And I know some places like to do climbing rules, but I'm of the opinion, and a lot of our staff have the opinion that interesting climbing rules further encourages sandbagging. Because then if people know they'll get kicked off their team if they reach a certain SR, they just won't play. Or they'll just play on a smurf and just like not get higher, which causes even more of the problem. And it says, how will smurfing be reduced more? I mean, the smurfing problem is incredibly hard, both because of the way the platform's set up, in that people can make an unlimited number of accounts for free. And it's also very difficult because of the fact that, unfortunately, it's partially like, yes, we can probably do a better job at it, and we're constantly trying to find a better way to like make these investigations happen. But we often encounter a lot of resistance to combating the problem, both because people don't report known sources that they know of, and then also because a lot of people like almost encourage it to a degree. People will like, it's the age-old thing where we say like we're screwed if whether we punish people and screwed if we don't. Whereas like we punish people we find out, and then we get that situation where all their friends are like, oh, he's just doing it for the bros, it's fine, don't care. But then those are the same people who complain when other people are doing it. And it's a very difficult problem, and it's something we can do better. I mean, it's something we're working to do. We increased our conflict resolution team by quite a lot this year, and we probably processed, I'd say probably at least double what we've done in previous seasons in terms of report numbers. But it also needs some action on the end of the community to make it actually something that's unacceptable to do. Because unfortunately, it isn't entirely unacceptable in the way people currently handle it. Next question from Tree. How will you distribute the prize pool, and if someone can't access a way to get money, what will happen? Let's see. So typically the way we distribute the prize pool is via like PayPal, just because it's one of the most simple ways to do it, and it works internationally quite well. and we typically distribute it to an individual that is like of legal age to accept it. So we're not just going to send like money straight to a minor. So in the case of like a situation where an underage person like earns some of the money, we typically send it to like a parental guardian, for example. And if you can't access a way to get the money, what will happen? I mean, if we can't send you the money, then we just can't send you the money. We'll make every effort we can to send it to you. But if you can't get it, then I mean, there's not really much we can do. We typically leave it up to the team. Like the team wins the money, then we leave it up to the team how they want to distribute it.
This next one was already answered.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, he asked it in chat.
Got it. Cool. Next question from Kitsune. Is there any thought into getting police medicine bagging? I mean, I think we already probably answered that one in the previous question. If I didn't, let me know. But I think I already answered that one. Let's see. One second. I gotta rotate this a little more. Okay. Have you guys thought about making it so you look at past 4 seasons instead of 3 from folded access? Haven't put much thought into it yet. So like we try to do a combination. We try to do a combination of a few things of why 3. Both so that it's somewhat recent but also not too old. And in some cases, it does look back at more than 3. So like the way it currently works is that like it's based on placing of all 3 roles. If you don't place all 3 roles, it looks back even further. So for some people, for some people's cases, there's situations where it looks back like 7 seasons because I haven't placed all 3 roles since like season 15 or something like that as an example. So not currently looking past 4. However, there are probably going to be some tier changes in the future coming up, and it might be something we test in the GOATS tournament due to the situation of the whole the whole like if you place now you can place only maximum of 3,900 because that kind of breaks the system in a bit. It wasn't much of an issue this last season because we used last 3 seasons and it covered seasons where that wasn't an issue. However, keep an eye out. We're not quite sure exactly how we're handling it, but keep an eye on that and expect some changes to make it so that's a little bit more fair for the whole issue of placing 3,900. Then we have another question from Waves asking how to join conflict resolution. That's for you, Ninja.
So how to join conflict resolution? Normally, how we did it last time, during the off season we hosted or had a interview page where you could fill out a form, and then we reviewed it and then had set up interviews with the people that we thought were the most qualified for the position. We do look at everyone, and that did apply, and then just go off that. Like you don't have to have experience to join CR. You can definitely learn on the job. But if you do have previous experience, say with another league or whatnot, or in your personal job, you kind of deal with the same stuff. It's all looked into, and then we do interviews and then go from there.
And going off of what Ninja said, we don't do a whole lot of recruiting for it mid-season because it's all kind of a lot of effort to onboard new conflict resolution individuals, and it kind of almost goes to like a little bit of a mentoring type thing, and it would take away from the large volume of reports we have during the season if we had to stop to do that. Question from Chef Billy: when can we start an open division tournament? I'm willing to help set it up. We've thought about doing something of a similar format before, where you can have any player from any SR. And actually, it's funny you mentioned that. When we did the off-season GOATS tournament, one of the things we were considering doing was an open division format. And for those of you who are not familiar, the open division formats has 2 major aspects of it. One, you can have any player of any SR on your team. There's no tiers. There's no limits. And then the way you're matched up against teams is based off of like your wins losses of against teams map win percentage in like a Swiss format. and each week your schedules kind of build up based off of like your strength of schedule to a degree. Um, so we thought about it, and we ended up deciding two things. One, the reason we didn't do it in the Ghost tournament format setup was a few reasons. One, because we decided we wanted to test only one thing. Testing multiple things sometimes in we're testing multiple things in the in one format. It's sometimes hard to get back the results you want. For example, we wanted to test what using 3 seasons of SR information worked, which kind of is incompatible with testing the open edition format at the same time. So we decided to test the 3 seasons worth first. And we also heard a lot of feedback from people that, despite not being perfect, people just like really like tiers. So it's something we want to try at some point. I definitely want to try it. I think I just want to try it in a very isolated and small format, something that's not long running. So it's possible maybe we'll do it in one of these off-season tournaments and make it pretty short, to see how it goes. But it's difficult to test that scale without first testing it smaller. So we might do it here coming up in the future, to see how it goes. I know, my understanding was that Elo Hell was doing an open edition format at the start, but then ended up doing tiers based on requests. So I'm not fully sure on how it will be received, but console's obviously been very familiar with tiers for quite a long time. So we'll have to see how that moves forward, but it is something we've thought of, Billy, and something we might test in the future. Another question from Callum. This is for you, Ninja. Would you consider someone being a very similar SR for a very large amount of seasons, greater than 10 seasons, something kind of suspicious? Especially when there's very little time played on their account.
It's very hard reading that. It can get suspicious, but it's just like, for example, I'm currently not playing Overwatch for a lot, but it's just like my SR is not really moving because of that as well. But I'm playing a lot of Apex, for example. It's very hard to say whether that would be like a sandbagging incident or just trying to hold their division just because they don't want to move up. It's really hard to say, and we really don't know how I personally wouldn't know how to deal with that, but it's like over 10 seasons,
Very situational.
it would be a very situational type case, and I would have to really dig into that in more details.
It's one of those things that can be it can be an indicator, but it's not like a hard evidence thing. So, kind of like, for example, some people, one indicator sometimes is a person a Smurf or not is having a lower gamer score, but that doesn't necessarily mean by default you are a Smurf. There's people who don't have a lot of gamer score that are not actually Smurfs, but can be used as an indicator that to add on with other evidence that they are like a Smurf, and something similar for sandbagging. Um, what is being done to investigate possible sandbaggers who are in lower tiers? Because someone kind of goes to you, Ninja, I guess, degree, and I can help potentially out with it as well.
If you have potential sandbaggers that you are wanting to be looked at, all you have to do is submit a report on the bottom of the website. There's a little form that you can fill out, and then we can look at it further.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work we do relies on the reports you guys submit, and the report form on the website goes directly into both a Google spreadsheet and also goes directly into a channel that the conflict resolution staff members are looking at and are claiming. Don't be super concerned if you don't get a response back right away or on the reports. There's times where sometimes like 10 reports are submitted in a single day, and we do have a limited number of staff, and some of these reports do take a good bit of investigation to look through. The best thing is submit if you have something you need or want investigated, submit a report for it, and then follow up when ideally you want some kind of evidence or proof that could point to it, because with an entry report, if you submit saying, say for example, you submit a report saying this person's a Smurf. We're like, okay, cool. We can look at it a little bit, but like if you have something that points towards it even more, like you have examples of like where they've said something like that, or weird issues, whether they're in parties or whatever. There's so many different items it could potentially be, and helping by submitting evidence for it can really help us close a case faster, or sometimes see things that we don't normally see because maybe you're in a Discord server or somebody else talks about something that we're not in. And obviously, we can't be sitting everywhere at all at once. And having additional information submitted can really help close these cases. Because sometimes people will submit a report with just like, this person's a Smurf, find it, and like that's not useful at all for us. We can't almost do anything about that report. So the more information you can include with your stuff, the better. And that was currently the last submitted question in this list. Feel free to submit some more questions to the forum that you would like answered, or if after say a minute or so there's no more submitted onto the forum, I will open the floor to any other questions or topics we'd like to discuss. We still have 30 minutes left in this time, so I'll be here the entire time.
Yes, sir.
I do see some discussion here in the town hall chat regarding like specifically like the open division type format, and it is an interesting question because like some of you have said in this chat, the open division format does kind of to a degree remove the smurfing issue in the sense, well, it removes part of it. It removes the part there where teams are like being artificially boosted by like playing. Say for example you have a 4,000 smurf on like a 2K team, for example. It solves the problem in the sense that like you're not necessarily playing against other 2K teams all the time and like being boosted because of that one player. It's still an issue in its own sense because like the person could be playing on multiple teams, but it does reduce that imbalance a little bit, but also does kind of hurt the lower elo players a little bit, at least early on, especially because the way the Swiss format works is like the first 2 weeks you play random teams to get kind of like a general guide, a baseline of like how good this team is, and then it starts like working for your record about more based on your like map win percentage. So like during those times you could get like absolutely destroyed in weeks 1 and 2, and sometimes it's especially early on in the season that can be very discouraging for teams, and a lot of dropouts we have happen both in the first few weeks, the midpoint, and basically right at the end. It's kind of like it's gonna make sense when you think about it, but like the beginning when teams realize, oh crap, we're a bad team. The halfway point when teams try to change their team to fix it, and then it fails, and then towards the end when they realize how to make playoffs. That's kind of like ish when our major dropouts happen, and this could potentially increase the number of dropouts early on. And whether I think the effect on the lower, I think I agree with what was said. It does affect the lower tiers more, and I think I think how much that effect would be on the lower tiers is something we would need to experiment with to get like a better idea on how well it works. Obviously, it can to a degree work in open division. Open division has a little bit of a different layout in the sense of it's almost the expectation, where here we would be moving from a tier system to an open division format, which is different from the expectation where open division has always been open division. So people expect it. We'd have to see how people feel about that. I will say this would also lead to some situations where, never mind, that doesn't make sense. So that was kind of going based off of that. Let's see. We do have another question submitted here in the form. Hey, a couple team captains. Okay, this is one of the type things. I think I put an example of this in the announcement of like, we're trying not to answer like very specific questions of like situations that like deal with you, for example, or like very specific ones. Instead, I'm going to tell you like if you have a specific question about, in this case, it's a report, I highly recommend directly reaching out to one of the conflict resolution members, and we have one of them actually here in the chat, Ninja, and you can see them on the top right sidebar of the CGL Discord, and they can give you follow-up information about a direct specific report.
I see how it is, head rooming.
Yeah, dude, trust me, my DMs are full already. I see a question from Stephen Tryhart in the town hall chat asking where my profile picture from. My profile picture is from Google Images. Yeah. I used to have a pretty standard hamster profile picture around, and then I used to try to change it on a holiday basis, and then COVID happened, so I figured just make it a hamster with a face mask, and kind of just left it there for quite a while. So we'll see. We'll see when that's over, and we'll see what I change it back to. So I guess unless there's gonna be, yeah. So I guess unless there's gonna be any other questions submitted to the forum, I guess I'll open the floor. If anybody wants to ask a question, please. Oh, actually, we have one more. When can we see captain's chat that isn't available to everyone? Make those captains join it. Oh yeah. So that's so there's been to get a little background knowledge. There's been some complaints behind for some times that the captain's chats you can kind of just technically anybody can react for the roles and get in them, which makes them a little bit not as useful as you're thinking of. We're planning to do something in the future similar to what we did for the whole Find Ringers system, where it will sync captain roles from the website, and then apply the correct captain roles for that person, and then make sure that they get access to the right roles for it. Haven't set it up yet. It's on my list of things to do. The logic's a little bit more annoying than the logic for just like the Find Ringers one, just because there's like so many tiers and whatnot, so it makes it a little more annoying to like rectify who has a role, who doesn't, which one should be added, which one should be removed. And it's more just a matter of me sitting down and doing it at some point. So it will happen. Just not now. So going back, and I'm going to now open the floor to any questions in voice that wants to ask a question, or you can ask in town hall chat as well. And I just ask that like kind of one person at a time. Go for it if you're going to do it. A little bit scuffed probably, but you know, that's what we're going for.
All right.
Don't worry, I found who he was. Mr. Neon Overflow. One moment. He has been removed from the server. I don't recommend doing that to anybody.
I like the comment saying my ears committed self-delete.
All right. Well, I mean, is there any other? I mean, if there's no other questions, we can end this early. But I'm open to discussing other topics. Aren't maybe say direct questions. But if not, we can just end this early. We do, for those who missed it, we are planning to do this once every 2 weeks on Monday at 9 EST. And then what's it called? Oh yeah, and then Munching was recording it this week. I don't know if Munching's gonna record it every single week, but the goal is to have at least somebody record it every week, as well as get some notes taken as well. That way, and we'll keep them posted in this probably in this links channel, I guess, or something similar around this town hall category. That way, people can always go back and find the answers, and as they change over time. And I also made a new role called Townhall in the Get Roles channel. In the future, I'm going to be instead of pinging the entire server, I'm going to ping the Townhall channel. No, sorry, Townhall role. That way, we're just not pinging the server. It's going to single time it happens, even though it's only once every 2 weeks. People like to complain about pings. So get the role in the Get Roles channel if it's something you want to be notified of each week. Let's see. I have FAQ for the Town Hall category. Wouldn't that kind of just be the FAQ channel that already exists?
So we have Munchkin and Emperor.
Yeah. So you said the playoff format was going to be rank 1 teams versus rank 4 teams. Why not just reseed the top 4 teams into a 16-team bracket? I've heard a lot of arguments before and against reseeding, and from what I've seen, it ends up coming down to like a whole lot of preference, and also assuming it's also my understanding was it's a big assumption that the general records are also relatively even across divisions, and I'm not really sure they are. I've also found a lot of trouble with getting things correctly to reseed properly into brackets. It's something I'm investigating more, but I think the 1 versus 4 also just ends up being more simple and easy to understand, if I'm being honest. Can I pick your profile picture? No. No, you cannot. I've seen the profile picture some people have in the server. Not necessarily the server, but have had in the server and around, and I am not putting that up to user choice. Do you guys
Emperor
plan to
Bob's question.
Yeah, do you guys plan to start the next tournament after the release of Overwatch 2? And if Overwatch 2 comes out in the middle of the season with all the new maps and heroes, say there's a problem with old heroes or bugs. So we're not currently planning anything around Overwatch 2. Like, we'll probably do something special when Overwatch 2 comes out. Maybe, but I mean, nobody knows the release dates of Overwatch 2, so there's really no point in planning around it. And there's a lot of people thinking that it's not even gonna be this year. So I think that trying to wait for something like Overwatch 2 is gonna end up not working out for something else. And until we have more definitive information, it's kind of hard to make any plans around something like that. And the way they've talked about Overwatch 2 is that, the matchmaking and stuff like that will work cross game. The major difference is like the PvE stuff. So even if Overwatch 2 comes out, it sounds like it'll be able to play across games anyways. Let's see. No, so the answer, Emperor, no, it's not gonna be rank 1 versus rank 4. I didn't mean the same division. I meant, like, for example, rank 1 in Division 1 would play rank 4 in Division 2, as an example. So cross-divisional stuff, just as an example. And then we'd just basically continue from there, bracket-wise. Several people are typing. Find division and see them from there. I mean, kind of-ish. How do you require the model role? I assume you mean acquire. Assuming you mean acquire the model role, I mean, basically, so we don't usually actively recruit for mods a whole lot. Instead, kind of like, kind of how it works is that a lot of problems that often happen with staff recruitment and servers is that there's a lot of people that they kind of just want to roll. They either want the power, or they want to stay like they're a mod or whatever, or have the color. And so one way to avoid that is that we don't really recruit for mods. Instead, we pretty much, when we have a need for a mod, we'll look around the server and see who's already being like actively helpful and kind of almost doing the role of a mod already without being a mod. And then we'll often offer that person a mod or a staff role, kind of make that like official. And if it's something they're interested in, potentially get them more responsibility beyond what they were doing before. So I guess that best answer to your question is, be active in the question channel, answering questions, and trying to like fulfill that role already, just without the power of being a mod. And then when we need people to fill that role, we'll look around, and if you're doing your role enough, we would have noticed.
Hopefully answer the questions accurately.
Yeah, that answering accurately would also be helpful. Don't know if this was answered earlier, but have you ever considered implementing a relegation and promotion system it would probably recall overhauling the current tier system, but I think it would push people for higher tiers and an adequate prize pool can be established. I think my major issue with the promotion relegation system is probably more around the longevity of how teams last, and that a lot of teams don't last super long. You see this happen for a lot of teams. I mean, my my team's been around for a long time in some form or another, but like a lot of teams don't last for very long, and sometimes don't last an entire tournament. And the rosters change quite a good bit between them, and I don't think it works as well in its current format. So I'll give you an example. We had 240, 250 teams sign up this season or so. I think about 40 or so disbanded. That we know of, and I know some other leagues as well have very high disband numbers. And I think implementing a promotion relegation system is very difficult when teams are like that.
We are currently at 50 disbanded.
Oh, we've increased. Yeah, so something similar. It's kind of how it is. There's not a lot of consistency between teams, between seasons or between tournaments. There are, of course, the exceptions, but majority are not. What region/tier/platform has the highest disband rate? I don't know. I mean,
Usually the one
probably.
with the most teams.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's probably usually Xbox One Tier 3 just because there's so many teams. And also because the competition in Xbox One Tier 3 is oftentimes very high because there's so many teams. There's sometimes in the higher tiers you can get examples of situations where I mean, this replicates in almost every single tier, where like, the top of the tier is usually dumpstering the bottom of the tier, and you have the ones in the middle of the pack and whatnot. This kind of happens in every single tier. You just see more of both the teams dumpstering and more of the teams being dumpstered in tiers that have more teams. It's kind of a generalized thing, to be honest. Because usually you find teams that don't. There's teams that like optimize well for like the limit SR-wise of a tier, and there's teams that either are new to the concept or just sometimes playing a little poorly and don't, or they sometimes move up from a previous tier. And a lot of times you'll notice like a team that dominates in one tier and then stays together and moves up to the next tier doesn't do as well the next season, more because they're just not used to a little competition difference between the top and bottom of different tiers. And sometimes teams are able to adjust and get improved to that level, but a lot of times it doesn't. And a lot of times it's not the case. So you're looking to partner with Blizzard anytime soon? I mean, hey, if Blizzard wants a partner, sure, why not? I mean, we talk we talked to them for like our license stuff, but beyond really our license and initial promotion stuff, a little bit from them, and like that's really about all it is, if we're being honest. Um, so if Blizzard wants to do some kind of official thing for console, sure, I'm down for it. But I mean, they already struggle to support their own PC tier 2 and tier 3 scene, so I think they need to fix that up first.
And the disbands are not concreted towards a lower versus higher tier. It is all around. I see tier 6 drops, I see tier 1s drop, and everything in between.
I ever thought about doing a LAN event? We actually have thought about it before, and it's complicated. Both
COVID.
because, well, yeah, COVID does bring that thing. And actually, we were gonna originally do some LAN stuff for a different game earlier. The plan was to this year, but that whole kind of fell apart because of the whole COVID thing. However, it runs into a few issues. One, we can't really run service for it, and two, a lot of people in this that play in CGL are not really of an age that can actively travel across country all the time. Which kind of really doesn't help with people from all over the place, and we're not going to be flying people out, so either we need to have like a ridiculous prize pool to make it worth it for people to go, or like some of the sort. Now, who knows? Maybe one day it'd be kind of cool. We could get if it like logistically would work and all that. But
Sponsors.
yeah. Need to have somebody's Bill Gates' dad contact us. We'll hook it up.
I mean,
Or
Dallas
someone in
School
the
made a
lottery.
post recently about how they support console watch. It's like, Astro, put your money where your mouth is, bud.
Yeah, true. We gotta ask Raid Shadow Legends for a sponsor. What sponsors does CGL have? We don't really have any overall sponsors right now. We've had a few sponsors in the past for individual tournaments, not in Overwatch, but for other individual tournaments. We had a few sponsors for one-off Halo events, for example. A few things for Mortal Kombat, and
A few for Apex.
a few for Apex. Yeah. So a lot of times, getting sponsors sometimes for like console Overwatch, for example, is a little bit difficult because the pro scene is not on console, whereas the other games I mentioned, the pro scene is. Well, is or was, for example. Halo has a lot of historical base in console, though I think the pro circuit's gonna be on PC next time. Apex had a pro circuit on console, and Mortal Kombat's pro circuit is still on console, which helps. Can me and Bullsong get CGL jerseys? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll give you the link to the store.
Yeah, there's link to the store. I like it munching.
Silence heathens.
Yeah, we out here with a $10 shared prize pool in T2U. Well, I mean, if you guys remember for the Match Arena links should be both in announcements and information. If you look in the information section, you can either both directly donate money to the prize pool for tiers 1 through 3, and you can also go to those links and you can complete various actions, such as there's sponsor actions on there, where you can say follow a Twitter account, like some YouTube video or whatever they ask you to do, and if you complete those actions they ask you to do, then like each one might donate like say 5, 10, 20 cents into the prize pool. So if it's something you want to support your tier division, I highly recommend having everybody in your tier or teams or whatever, anybody you can ask to do that stuff, and it puts money in your prize pool by those sponsors. And Steven, I do see your messages. I'm gonna say you're cool, but I'll admit don't think I've ever talked to you. So you're not on the bad list currently. How about that? What Alta? I said somebody DM me if I've tried Monster Energy. I'm not really an energy drink person, to be honest. I mostly just drink water and juice.
Coke
Do you
for
guys
me.
do you guys answer my question? Which was your question? Remind me. Not sure if someone asked us already, but someone came up with the idea of Division 1 number 1 versus Division 4 number 4 and so on for the divisions like 2, 3. Division 2 versus number 3. I think your idea is similar to what we're doing. If I read your question correctly.
I think it's close.
Yeah.
I guess
What
they
you
want
guys
to have it explained again.
Yeah, I think that was correct. Yes, I said numbers. I was kind of mumbling his question to think if it was a hard answer, and I think it was. I think what he said was what we're already doing.
Kick that nigger bitch off the plane! Sir, you need to stop there.
Taken care of.
Yep.
People are weird, man.
I totally saw when I saw the name come in. I'm just like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think for future ones, I might just have it auto muted in the thing where people just can't
Just
speak on
come
what they
in
like to
muted.
speak. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be wise.
Any other questions we have? We got a few more minutes here.
Several people are typing.
Mm-hmm. All right, I changed the permissions so that people can't speak anymore unless I want them to speak. Why was Town Hall? Wait, hold on, I think we scroll up. Why was Town Hall created? I don't know. I kind of just thought of it earlier today. I was thinking like trying to think of a way to kind of just create a little bit more direct community interaction, and sometimes,
Transparency.
and I guess transparency to a degree. And some things are hard to explain in text chat. Some of the concepts of things people don't fully understand or have questions about are difficult to explain just writing it out. Whereas somehow it just makes more sense speaking it out loud because you can have that back and forth between people. And it also gets the answers to these things up in front of more people as it happens. And it also helps get an idea of what's on people's minds. Like what are people's concerns and all kind of stuff. So that's kind of why we put this together, and why we think doing it moving forward will be good. So definitely after this is over, let us know, give us some feedback in the chat on what you think of the whole thing, and we'll take it as we go. We'll probably be some changes in the future about how we handle it. I mean, it's kind of just put together today, and it's quite a few individuals. It hasn't gone too bad so far. I see a question from Emperor asking, do you think the way the tiers are set up now is good, or do you guys plan to change it? If I recall, it was around the same thing in multi-tier tournament 4-2. We've changed the tiers. I think we've changed the tiers a little bit almost every single season, just barely though. We're constantly trying to refine it. I never think it's perfect. I know it's not perfect. There's always ways we can improve it. It's just sometimes a complicated thing to do. So for example, this last season, the only change we made was we changed tier 5's SR limit average to go from 4250 to 4300. Simply because it was a little more of an exponential change. And the last change before that we made was the changing of adding tier 6 originally. So I don't think anything's perfect. I think there will be a change in the future. Most likely, it's either going to be a tier change or it's going to be a rule change to basically handle the situation of the change in Overwatch where you can only place a max of 3900. So there's going to be a tier change or rule change regarding that. I just haven't fully put together what that change is going to be. So do expect change regarding that and make sure it's not a surprise when it happens. And know that maybe we won't get it perfect right away because I mean it's quite a big change in Overwatch's rating system, but we'll iterate and kind of practice it. I mean, it might be something that we try to resolve in this off-season tournament we end up doing to test out a change, and see how it works. Let's see. I did see a question actually that posted in the thing asking, will there ever be a CGL Minecraft tournament? I don't know. It's something that I haven't really personally thought about. I know actually at one point we did have a CGL Overwatch Minecraft server a long time ago. That a few members ran. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if there's. I mean, with how large our community is, there's probably some people who have the experience in something like that. Typically, when we add support for a new game, so for those of you who are not familiar, we have the way our kind of staff leadership works is it's kind of on a per game basis. So we have an overarching leadership. We have the ownership group. It's above everything, and then we have game leads, and the game leads are responsible for every single thing under their game. And so, for example, Overwatch is a slight bit unique just because how large it is and its historical context. But most other games are supported in exactly that way. And then the game lead is basically the lead for for everything under it, and they handle like staff recruitment, they handle direction moving forward for their game. And when we add support for a new game, typically, if it's something we intend to do long term, we have to recruit a game lead who's very knowledgeable in that field, and we'll be able to like effectively recruit people and set up the direction for that game. So if Minecraft is something we want to support long term, then we need to both decide we want to do that as an organization, and then also get a game lead to do that, which is sometimes very difficult. Who owns CGL? There's a group of us that do. So there's like maybe how many is it now? I don't remember. It's like 4, 5-ish in total or so. Where there's a primary at this point. There's probably a primary 3 or 4 that do the day-to-day stuff. And we're each responsible for different sides. So like, the ones that you guys might know is I'm part of the ownership group. Nips is part of the ownership group. That kind of stuff. Skate Action is part of it a little bit too. There's a group of us that, and so is Corbeck. Those are the ones you guys might know. There's a few other people behind the scenes that probably you guys have never met before. That also do some stuff, more like background logistical company stuff. But those are the ones you might know. And yeah, what you guys mentioned, Sarge was the one who did the Minecraft server. Can you get 25% profit? Yeah, that's what you think. We're making money. Long-term
Strictly volunteers.
long-term goal is to make some money, but right now we're definitely not. I can tell you that. I mean, half this prize pool, this $3,000 prize pool for the season, is my own money. So trust me, I'm definitely not making back that money. I know it's a common misconception some people think, where they think that we're like sponsored by Blizzard or whatnot, but no, we are not. All this prize pool money comes from ourselves, and we try to supplement it sometimes with like sponsorship stuff. But again, getting sponsorship stuff for Overwatch specifically is difficult. The Overwatch side is kind of more but I guess more of a passion project for our organization, based on our historical context of originally coming from Overwatch. Steven, what are you trying to say? Be questioner? Yes. I don't know what you're saying,
I'm
man.
so confused.
I'm trying to understand. I'm really trying. Why is PCSR counted? PCSR is counted because we've had situations where people have gone from it's much more rare for people to go from PC to console, but it's also happened where we've had people that were like 44 on PC came and placed like freaking plat or diamond on console, and it's like, yeah, that seems a bit not good. As for the PC Overwatch and CGL anytime soon, not probably anytime soon. You know, I've thought about it in the past at some point, like in the sense of like I could see a good situation where it's something I've thought about, in that like I thought it could be neat to be like a really good gateway to PC Overwatch as well, in the sense of like we have our entire goal with running the Overwatch stuff is to give people a way to both a good place to play, and that's like away from competitive, and also to like try to help people improve in a competitive way. That's why I have one of the reasons we have the tiers. You know, you can move up through the tiers as you get better at the game, and if it's something you want to pursue even more, you know, we want to help people to help set you up in the best way possible. And while our main mission is obviously console Overwatch, I do think it would be neat to be able to also have like a small PC side to like help people that transition over if they decide to switch and whatever their goals are. But that's not currently a direction we're looking at. I think it'd be cool, but I don't know. We'll see. Why is it so hard to get sponsors, specifically Overwatch? Well, for a few reasons. I don't know if it's necessarily for Overwatch itself, as it is for console Overwatch, because it's difficult to get the sponsorships for things where you're not really playing on the same platform as like the Pro League. And usually where the Pro League is played is where the best things are happening, which is where the most people are watching. And to a degree, it almost always comes down to viewers and eyeballs. when people sponsor you, they sponsor you because they want to advertise to a degree to your viewers. They're like, hey, we're here, and that only happens if you have lots of like stream viewers, for example. And so the best way to get that would be to either get a lot of viewers for our console Overwatch stuff, and then people would be forced to look at you, or do some kind of like cross game branding deal, where like we say like, oh, we'll sell you some advertising deal on every single stream we do across all our games. That thing could work a little bit more, but it's a little bit difficult otherwise. And then the whole sponsorship stuff is also kind of difficult because a lot of times people don't want to look at you unless you're like very large. And while we're fairly large in like console Overwatch, for example, realistically in the grand scheme of things, we're still a fairly small organization. I see Taylor Emperor mentioning about Switch. It's funny you mention that. It's something I want to do in the future, and maybe for our next season we'll have Switch support. I've already had some talks with some Switch peoples, so we'll see.
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to know why we had that VIP in our server.
Sideshow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when Sideshow was here, we had a little bit of a advertising deal with him to advertise our tournament, and so he was in the Discord server during that period of time, just to chill.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was neat. It was always neat because I was watching like even like weeks after that thing, I still saw like our tournament logo thing, our tournament logo happen on his like published YouTube videos because like it was a lot of stream experts that were actually older.
Oh shit, nice.
If we sponsor more people, may want to cast and stream. Maybe, but honestly, the hardest thing we found with getting more people to cast and stream is just there's a lot of people that are like to a degree kind of interested in it, but what we primarily need is we need people that are like self-motivated. We need people that are going to push forward and kind of like look for that work themselves, rather than having to be pushed to take the stream work as well. Because we provide the opportunity of like the list of games when they're all happening. Here's the stuff to go do it and the training for it. But in the end we need people to like actually take that work that's available to them and just like, okay, I'm free this time. Let me go do a game, kind of thing. Did the side thing help at all? I think actually it did. We got a. It's hard to say specifically like how much it brought in, but it did get a lot more notice for us. It's hard to say like specifically how much it was just that because of the whole we had a large coordinated advertising thing during that same period across multiple platforms. So I think during that period of time that we announced and posted our advertisement across a large variety of areas, I think we gained, I don't know, about 2,000 people in this Discord server or so. So quite a good bit. Whether I don't know how much it was related directly to Sideshow, but I believe it did also help at least get some knowledge more out about us. I believe we got mentioned on Plat Chat because of it as well. Very briefly, it was like a name drop thing. As for why he left, it was just like a limited time thing. Maybe we'll do more with him in the future. We'll see. Do you guys help out Jane in one of his tournaments? So yes, we did a tournament in January 2019. It wasn't really. I mean, Jane was involved, but it wasn't necessarily his tournament. So you're thinking of the Lame Sauce tournament, the original Lame Sauce tournament back in January 2019. And that was a tournament originally conceived by Lame Sauce himself, who, if you don't know, is a very big supporter of console Overwatch in general. And he went to Jane and whatnot, saying like, "Hey, I want to run this tournament for console Overwatch." And then this is during a time which EloHell hadn't really done a whole lot with the console version of things in general, so they contracted us to do the like kind of like the streaming and producing for a lot of the tournament up until the finals. So I know some of our casters got the cast with Jane and Lemon Kiwi in the finals of that, which was kind of a cool experience for them. And that one did bring it to us on. That one we actually had to change some deadlines during that period of time because we got a lot of people in our Discord server that are not thing. That was 2019 though, so it was a good while ago at this point. That's my favorite ice cream player is not ice cream player, ice cream flavor. It's not really about this stuff, but I'll answer it because ice cream's amazing. It's probably something chocolate or peanut butter based. So usually I like chocolate peanut butter cup a lot. Favorite fast food place is Chick-fil-A. That was an easy answer. Okay, Faz, I was hoping wouldn't correct me on that one, but yes, it is ice cream player. You ever had Chick-fil-A? Why don't you just go to the United States just for Chick-fil-A? Is Chick-fil-A really only in the United States? I know they're primarily United States, but I thought they probably had something in other countries. I see an article from 2019. Chick-fil-A goes international, opening first UK location. So clearly, you've missed it. I mean. No problem, Tree. So I can think at this point we've pretty much exhausted most of the serious questions here. So we could probably end the recording there, munching, and I'm still probably gonna chill here for a little bit, but